going to take this wheel cover off before we remove the wheel. Just use a 19mm socket. Loosen up these plastic covers. All right, slide that hubcap off and take the 19mm socket, take the lug nuts off, and pull the wheel off. We want to take these bolts out. I'm going to use a 10mm socket. And you can take the top caliper bolt out as well. I'm just going to take a straight blade screwdriver, go between the rotor and the caliper, just pry it out a little bit. Just going to compress the piston a little, and then I can slide the caliper right off. With the caliper off, I'm going to take a brake caliper hanger and just hang it from the coil spring. Just make sure there's no tension on the brake hose. Just take a straight blade screwdriver or just slide the brake pads off. I'm going to use an 18mm socket and remove this brake caliper bracket. Loosen these bolts up. And slide the bracket out. I want to take this screw out. Just use a T30 socket. You can use an impact driver. I'm just going to tap it in a little bit with a hammer. I'm going to use an air gun. Put some pressure on it. Take it right out. Take a hammer and you want to hit in these areas. Be careful not to hit the studs. And sometimes it breaks free. This one's pretty rusty. And get the rotor, take it off. We want to take a wire brush and just clean the hub, get some of the rust off. You want to clean these surfaces right here. This one doesn't look too bad, but a lot of times there's a lot of rust all along here. This way the rotor is going to sit flush with the hub surface. Just take the new rotor, just put it on backwards first. We're going to clean this side off with some brake parts cleaner. And take a rag and wipe it. There's a protective coating on the brakes, on the rotors to prevent them from rusting. Slide it on so that the hole lines up with the hole on the hub. And clean this side as well. Reinstall this screw. And I'm just going to snug it up. All right, just take a screwdriver. We want to take these clips off, these pad slides or anti-rattle clips. Take those off. Take a wire brush. All this rust, you want to clean this up. Just use a wire brush. All right, that looks pretty good. Take a little brake parts cleaner, clean that up. Take a little bit of brake caliper grease. Put those underneath the clips. Put some new clips on. Get that lined up. And you can put a little more brake caliper grease, just a nice thin coat. That should be good. And we can do the same with the other side. Then we can take the caliper slide pins, just slide them out. Just slide it past this little rubber boot. Just like that. And slide the pin out. Take a little brake parts cleaner, spray down the pin, and wipe it off. You can spray a little brake parts cleaner in there and clean that off as well. Take Take a little bit of grease, put it on the pin. Just put a nice thin coat on the front of it, on the one with the rubber seal there, or rubber slide. All right, and slide this back in. Put the rubber piece, make sure that goes all the way around. That one's good. And you do the same with the other side. And take the caliper bracket, slide it over the rotor. Take the 2 bolts, get those started on the back side. I'm going to torque these bolts to 74 foot-pounds. Take the brake pads. The one with the squealer is going to go on the inside at the top of the brake caliper bracket, and the one without the squealer is going to go on the outside. Now take the brake caliper, slide the hanger off. Now we want to compress this brake caliper, so I'm going to use a brake caliper compressing tool. Get this lined up. And slowly compress the brake caliper. As I ratchet this is pushing on the brake piston, which is pushing the fluid through the hose, through the lines, and back up into the master reservoir. And just do it nice and slow. All right, that piston's all the way down. Now I can loosen this up and slide it out. Take the caliper, just make sure the boot looks good. Everything's good there. Slide it back over the brake pads. Now install the brake caliper bolts. Make sure the brake hose is not twisted. Then I'm going to torque these to 21 foot-pounds. Install the wheel. I'm going to torque these lug nuts to 100 foot-pounds in a star pattern so that the wheel gets tightened down evenly. Just going to go around again, double check. Line up the hubcap and just take the socket and tighten these down. Just do it by hand, otherwise you're going to strip these out. And you want to pump the brake pedal because there's going to be an air gap between the brake caliper piston and the brake pads, so you want to eliminate that air gap. Make sure it feels pretty good. That's good. And then just check the brake fluid reservoir and just make sure that the brake fluid is closer to the max line, or at least in between the two. You can give it a shake, and our level's right there, and adjust accordingly.